Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Work From Home Breakfast Series ran by JobAdder. We'll be bringing you the most forward-thinking tech that's integrating with JobAdder at the moment to help you get more done with less during this challenging time. So my name is Liam Cosgrove. I'm the partner manager here at JobAdder, looking after our partnership program. Just wanted to give you a couple of updates of what we've done at JobAdder recently. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw our CEO's post, but we have now released our AI sourcing tool for free to all of our customers to help support you at this time. What that will allow you to do is really dig through your database a lot more effectively. So please contact anyone at JobAdder, if that's support, your account managers, the sales contacts you know there, and they will help get that set up for you. So please reach out to the team for that one. Today, we are joined by co-founder of myInterview, Guy Alberson, to find out more about their video interviewing platform, which is so relevant at this time. So please grab yourself a coffee if you've got your breakfast at hand. We're going to dive in to hear a little bit more about how Guy started his business. He was a disgruntled job seeker, as many people will be at the moment. He was speaking to hundreds of employees and recruiters. So he's built this Australian-based business that's now gone global. So we're going to hear a little bit more about how Guy has built the business and will be really helpful for you guys to adopt. I also just wanted to show you, Guy, what was that sign that you've got for your motivation at the moment?
It's to get shit done. So if you look around on the wall, it just says to get shit done. So it's just kind of our core focus at the moment, not to waste time in this type of climate, just to get stuff done.
That's what's keeping Guy going in the morning. So this session will be about 15 minutes. Feel free to write any comments or in the chat section. We'll read out any questions as we go. We want this session to be as interactive as possible. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. And we're going to get started now. So Guy, I'd love you just to start off with a sort of 60-second elevator pitch to give us an overview of who myInterview is.
Sure, thanks, Liam. Hi, everyone. So as Liam said, my name's Guy. I'm one of the co-founders of myInterview. myInterview is a video interview platform. So our goal is to help employers, recruiters, or all our customers screen candidates more effectively through video. Why this is super important and relevant for now is we've got people that are working remotely. We know social distancing is a really big thing at the moment. And how can you assess a candidate effectively? And that's where myInterview really can step in. You can choose tailored questions, set up templates, for example, and then go and interview a candidate anywhere, anytime remotely. And then you can watch it and review it back with your team. So that's kind of the core reason myInterview was built, was to help you save time, help you also save money, but place a candidate much more quicker than traditional methods.
Great, thank you. And just to sort of bring us back to the sort of current climate, what sort of issues are you seeing in recruitment at the moment? And I know you're working with recruitment agencies and also the in-house talent teams, but could you tell us a bit more about some of the pain points that are coming up and maybe that you're helping with?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a huge amount of interest, I think, in the last probably 3 weeks as businesses and starting to think about how do they change from their kind of traditional workflows where it might be a phone call, it might be a face-to-face meeting, and suddenly everyone's working remotely. So what we've found is that there's an interest in how do we move our current workflow and processes from a phone call or, for example, face-to-face to online. That's probably the biggest issue that we found. But then also from a recruitment perspective, to send a particular candidate to a hiring manager or a client, you can't do that as well these days. So how can they use our product to be able to, take a video of a particular candidate, share that out to the particular relevant people in the team and collaborate? So those are probably the two biggest, I'd say, I think, issues that we're currently seeing in the market currently. The third one also is there's a huge spike in candidate applications. We've seen, unfortunately, in the Australian retail sector, a number of businesses that have been heavily affected in the last probably, say, 48 hours, if not a week. And it means there's a huge volume of candidates. And we can't do, for example, a 30-minute phone screen or a live interview with a candidate for 30 minutes, unfortunately. It's how do we assess that candidate in 3 to 4 minutes, get a really good understanding of who they are, and place that candidate quickly in a particular role.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen that Aldi and Coles and some of these big supermarket chains, they're hiring huge amounts of volume at the moment. So it's good to see that there's still hiring taking place. And how easy is it to sort of, well, in fact, could you tell us more about some of the wins some of your customers are experiencing if you've been speaking to more of a sort of account management level? What are the wins that some of your customers have had this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think this week it's literally a few key goals they have. One, getting set up quickly. So not wasting time, you don't want to kind of mess around candidates. You don't want to mess around hiring managers or particular recruiters in particular. So it's how can we get a business set up quickly? That's kind of the core focus that we've been focusing on the last few days, but also getting them to place a candidate quicker as well. So kind of the key wins they've had is sending out a particular link to a group of candidates, getting them to complete interviews, within 24 hours, for instance, reviewing those as a team, and then looking through their kind of applications they have, looking through the kind of roles that have come through and seeing where a candidate is going to fit. So we're seeing an actual decision-making process that has significantly increased in speed. So people are making quicker decisions, which is super important in this particular climate. And also making sure that they're kind of collaborating with their team. I think that's also a really nice aspect of the kind of working from home is teams are a lot more digital these days. So people are kind of, going onto our platform, looking at feedback, seeing what other colleagues have said, and kind of actually just, I'd say speaking a bit more about the applications that have come through. So those are kind of a key wins we've seen from clients, is just getting a better understanding of who candidates are, but more importantly, being able to place those and provide a deliverable back to the hiring manager or to that recruitment manager and to say, look, I've got a shortlist for you. Here's your top 2 or 3 candidates. Here's their video. Here's a bit of interest, or this is kind of the top things they're interested in. Which one do you want to kind of proceed with? And then they'd go set up a live interview with those 1 or 2 candidates afterwards.
And have you seen people using the video platform all the way through to, rather than just to shortlisting, but further on through that recruitment process?
Definitely. I mean, I think there's 2 ways where video is often used. So because generally our interviews are about 3 to 4 minutes on average, sometimes we'll get one longer. People are often screening every single applicant up front. So if you have a grouping of applicants, just sending out the link to say, look, in this current climate, we'd love to learn a bit more about you. What's your kind of goals, motivations, why you may be interested in the job? And just tell us in literally, 2 or 3 minutes, and then assessing all those applicants and then taking them forward. As opposed to necessarily the conventional approach would be a CV screen and then sending out to a shortlisted group. So we're seeing a bit of both, but people just want to be able to go through applicants quickly and get a better understanding of them, because they can't obviously go meet them, unfortunately.
And is this being used for sort of all types of roles, to C-suite and executives, to, you mentioned retail before?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sweet spot for myInterview is it's pretty broad. So if there is some sort of volume, that's typically where video has been used from like a market perspective. But what we're finding at the moment, it can be if you have 5 to 10 roles and 5 to 10 candidates, and you just want to get a better understanding of who they are, and you want to be able to interview them efficiently. So we're seeing it across customer service roles in particular, which have been in high demand. Generally, we don't go up to too much C-suite executive stuff, because generally the influx of candidates is a bit lower. But we find generally if it's customer service, for example, if it's entry level up to mid-level management roles, that's generally a really good spot to be able to use video. And you also can have like a bit of an introduction about the role or the company in front of the candidate. So it's a good branding exercise as well. So you can introduce your role, introduce your company, introduce your brand to the candidate, and just get them to respond in, almost like a 60-second introduction.
Yeah. Or if you just can't see them at the moment because of social distancing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So could you just give us sort of a recap of that, I guess, in what are your unique selling points, and really how will this assist right now for companies that are working from home and in this current climate of not being able to go face to face?
Sure. So obviously, especially with social distancing measures, even being able to get candidates into rooms aren't possible these days. We can't afford the time to do a live, kind of video conference with every single candidate. So what our unique selling points are is a few key things. Number one, from a candidate perspective, you can do this anytime, anywhere. I think that's really relevant in this particular climate. They can do it on any type of internet connection. They can do it on a mobile phone. They don't have to download any app. So it's just really frictionless for candidates. And that just means it's a better quality video for recruiters and hiring managers to be able to view. But also it's speed. Speed's probably the biggest thing that's important. Being able to efficiently screen a grouping of candidates, get an understanding for them, why they're applying for the role, what they're looking for, and then being able to collaborate with colleagues in your team if need be, or particular clients, and say, well, this is the short of candidates that we've got. What we're finding is, we can get you set up in literally 10 minutes. It's that quick. We kind of will sit with you, we can chat with you, provide an onboarding session around, what's your current workflow? How can you move that to digital? And that's been, I think, most of the conversations we've had is, this is our current process. We want to switch to video, we're really interested. How do we move across to myInterview? And it's for our kind of support and success team just to have a conversation with everyone and to say, this is how we recommend to implement it. And that's how we can get you set up really quickly as a team, which is super important.
Yeah, great. Well, that speed and efficiency couldn't be more relevant right now, as I know resources are sort of dropping off and we're having to streamline businesses. So yeah, that's really important. Thanks for sharing that. It'd be really great to have a look at how myInterview actually works with JobAdder, because it's a really simple and great integration that you guys have built in with us. It'd be great to have a look at what that actually looks like so the customers can see how easy it is to adopt and use in their current processes.
Sure. So I'll just share my screen. It'll flip across from the blue myInterview logo, and you should see JobAdder's fantastic layout now. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into a role we have, which is strategic copywriter. And the whole goal, as Liam said, is we want to make it really seamless. If you're spending a lot of time in JobAdder each day, it's really important that this is where you can then handle the entire interview process. You don't have to jump in between 3 or 4 different systems. So what we'll show you now is how we can send a particular applicant across to myInterview, what the candidate experience looks like, and more importantly, how can you review that data back inside JobAdder. So we can see we have a number of applicants. What's really nice is you can see there's a new field that becomes created called myInterview, and we could select a particular candidate. So for example, Andre here, you can select the action button, myInterview, and then just send to myInterview. And what that does, it'll then trigger an invitation to get sent out to that particular candidate. You can also do it via bulk. They get a nice branded email inviting them to a video interview, explaining what the process is, and then they can click that link anytime, anywhere. To see what the actual candidate experience looks like, I'll just take you over to a page. So this is something that we can set up, is different branding for the company that you have. And also, as I said, you can have that introduction video. That's a really nice way to introduce the role or, for example, the company as well. So we'll just quickly type in my name. We then can take the candidate through like a really quick setup process, and I won't go through the full interview process. I'll just show you what one question looks like, just conscious of time today. But we kind of let them go through a bit of a setup process. We also want to provide support to them, so candidates can contact us literally anytime or anywhere. And if we click, for example, on to begin interview, so my camera is in use from webinar at the moment, which is a bit unfortunate. But if we take the candidate through the actual process and they click begin interview, we'll see the type of question that's shown above. So we can see the question they have, they can see a timeline. We also have, for example, the actual live chat support available to candidates as well. They can go through and they can chat with us or contact us if they've got a question. If I turn off my camera in my webinar now, then you're not going to see me. So I'm not going to kind of start to switch cameras. But then we start to take the candidate through the process. And there's 2 ways that you can display questions to candidates. You can have a visible question where the question's always visible and you can click record when ready. But also you can have like a time-based question. So you have about 30 seconds to think about the question for a candidate. This is important if you have sales roles, for example, or a scenario-based role where you want to kind of test a candidate, really good in technical roles where you want to kind of ask them a particular situation. You can kind of go through and then click start recording. I'll then show you what it looks like when we go back into JobAdder as well. So as soon as the candidate completes it, you'll get an email, number 1. Also, the actual candidate gets a confirmation email, which is important. And you can always track the status. So you'll start to see, for example, that this invitation is sent and this interview here has been completed. So if we click onto, for example, Ellie's video, it pops up on the right. It's really nice. You can also get access to a raw transcript as well if you want. And you can share it. And I think this is where the power is. So you can share it inside the platform, or you can copy that particular share link and go and share that with, it might be for a client. When you start to actually go and submit candidates from JobAdder, you can just copy this into the email that gets sent out to them. So it's just a nice way to digitally kind of share candidate profiles to clients and say, here's Guy, here's Liam. We think they're both great applicants for these particular reasons. Here's the responses to their video. Do you want to proceed with both to that kind of final live interview, or do you want to just take, for example, maybe just Guy or Liam, one of us?
Great. Thank you so much for running it. Just conscious of time, and I've got a couple of questions that have come through from the audience. Thanks for running us through that. And if you wanted to know some more information, we'll give you guys contact details afterwards, and you can hook up for a full demo or understand a little bit more about the product. But a question from Harry on here is where is the best place to have a video within the pipeline? I think you might. Sure. So
it's a really good question. I think there's 2 areas where you can use video. You can either use video up front, so every single applicant that comes through, you can actually send out a myInterview to. I think what's really interesting is JobAdder also just announced today this new tool they have made available for you. So if you actually can see, for example, any applicant that's come through and use JobAdder's new AI sourcing tool, you can then see the shortlist that it creates and almost send that the myInterview out just to those candidates. So it could be a really nice way to kind of tie the systems together and get the most value out of it. The other approach would be where you have obviously a grouping of candidates. You, for example, look through their profiles inside JobAdder, and then you send out the myInterview too. So if it's a high volume role, we'd probably recommend going through and sending it out to everyone at the front in about a 2 to 3 minute application. If it's a role where a particular skill set might be required, you might want to validate that skill set first and then send out the myInterview. And that's generally what we see most clients will do between those two roles.
Great. So use the AI sourcing tool for free and then come and use myInterview.
Yes.
Great. And another question here from Helen. How long are interviews on average?
So an interview on average we find globally is about 3.5 minutes. Reason being is if you have a question, for example, introduce yourself. It doesn't have to be 2 minutes. It could just be 30 seconds. And that's enough to kind of give a candidate an insight to provide a response. But you can also give candidates directions. So we'd say if it's a question like introduce yourself, we'd recommend, for example, saying, tell us about your kind of current career path, what your motivation is, and what you're looking for in the next role. And that can be covered in about 45 seconds. Hence why the interviews are quite condensed, about 3 minutes.
Great. All right, well, thank you so much for running us through that, Guy, and your time this morning. That's been really insightful and informative for me. I hope everyone online has enjoyed that session as well. We will start sharing these recordings that we're running every day. We'll be making a page on the website so you can share with your friends or in your recruitment network as well. We're really here to support our customers at this time and make sure we're bringing you the best tools that can help you to perform and still stay competitive at this time. So please reach out to me if there's anything you want to hear from or anyone in the team, and they can feed that back to myself as well. But that's all for today, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time. Cheers, Guy.
Thanks very much, Liam. One thing I wanted to add quickly for JobAdder customers, and we've got an offer for you. So we can get you set up in 10 minutes, super important. But we've also got a free tier. So myInterview always has had a free tier, which means you can literally start playing around today. For JobAdder customers, we're going to include the JobAdder integration on that tier. So just come through and chat with us. We can get you set up. And if you choose any plan, on top of that, we'll give you guys 20% off as well. So we also want to kind of provide some value out to the community as well.
Did you say there's, oh, hold on, I think there's another question coming through. Let me have a look at that, cancel that one. This is a question from Cameron. Does myInterview work on mobile platforms as well as PC?
It does. So you can literally click the link from an email or text message. So we also do text message invitations and just complete that on your mobile without downloading an app, and obviously on the web browser as well.
Beautiful. All right. Well, anyone else, if you've got any further questions, please feel free to reach out to Guy, as we'll share those details with you as well. Otherwise, thank you all for joining. Take care.
Thanks very much, Liam. Chat to you soon. Bye.
Bye.